Smart women are actually harder to love. Not because they're not incredible, not because they're too much or too intense or too anything, but because the very things that make them smart, the independence, the self-sufficiency, the emotional wars, the constant analyzing, those same things quietly make them really hard to get close to. And I know that's not easy to hear, but think about what that actually looks like in real life. The woman who is always 3 steps ahead of everyone around her. The woman who never needs anyone to help her figure anything out. The woman who keeps her feelings locked up tight because showing them feels like handing someone a weapon. That woman is genuinely exhausting to get close to. Not because she's too much, but because she won't let anyone in. And the most painful part of all of this is that she usually has absolutely no idea she's doing it. She genuinely thinks she's being strong. She thinks she's protecting herself in a smart way. She thinks being completely self-sufficient, never asking for too much, never being a burden, never showing any cracks, she thinks all of that is what makes her attractive and easy to be with. But it's actually doing the complete opposite. And nobody around her is honest enough to tell her that. So she keeps going, keeps doing the same things, keeps getting the same results, keeps lying in bed wondering why this feels so much harder for her than it seems to be for women who she knows are not as smart, not as capable, not as emotionally aware as she is. And that confusion, that gap between how hard she's trying and how little it seems to be working, is exactly what this conversation is about. Because there are 6 specific things that smart women do with men that quietly push the right people away, slowly drain the attraction out of something that had real potential, and make deep, lasting connection almost impossible to build. And what makes these 6 things so incredibly hard to catch is that none of them look like mistakes. They look like intelligence. They look like emotional maturity. They look like completely reasonable behavior from the outside. But underneath, they are working directly against everything she actually wants. And this is not about dumbing yourself down. It is not about pretending to need help when you don't, or playing some exhausting game to keep a man interested. This is about understanding the specific blind spots that come with being a smart, capable, self-reliant woman, because those qualities are real strengths. But when they show up the wrong way with a man, they create distance. And most smart women don't even know the distance is there. So if you have ever felt like you were doing everything right, but things still weren't working the way they should, this is for you. Because once you see these 6 things clearly, you cannot unsee them. And that awareness alone is going to change how you show up. Let's get into it. The first thing smart women do that quietly works against them with men is they over-explain everything. And this one is genuinely hard to catch because it looks exactly like good communication. It looks like being thorough and honest and making sure there's no misunderstanding between 2 people. It looks responsible. But what is actually happening underneath all that explaining is a completely different story. Smart women have spent years, sometimes their whole lives, in environments where they had to prove their thinking to be taken seriously. Work, school, professional settings, any room where their competence was being measured or questioned. In those spaces, they learned early on that if you explain your reasoning clearly enough, if you lay out your thinking step by step, people will get on board. And that skill genuinely works in those environments. It is a real strength there. But when you bring that same habit into a relationship with a man, it starts working against you in ways that are really difficult to see at first because it feels so normal to you. Because when you over-explain to a man, when you send the long, detailed message, carefully breaking down why you feel the way you feel, when you over-justify a decision that was actually completely reasonable, when you spend 20 minutes walking him through your exact emotional logic because you need him to fully understand where you're coming from, you are not building closeness. You are building a courtroom. And the second a conversation starts to feel like a legal case that needs to be won, something changes in him. He stops feeling like your person. He starts feeling like your audience, Like his job is to sit there and evaluate whether your argument is convincing enough. And nobody feels warm and open and attracted inside that dynamic. It shuts things down without either of you even realizing why. And here is the deeper thing about over-explaining that almost nobody talks about honestly. It does not come from arrogance. It does not come from wanting to control him or talk over him. It comes from fear. Quiet, deeply familiar fear. The fear that if you don't explain yourself well enough, he will misunderstand you. He will get the wrong idea about who you are or what you meant. He will think less of you. So you explain more. You add more context. You go over the same point a different way just to make sure it really landed, because the feeling of being misunderstood is genuinely unbearable to a smart woman who knows exactly who she is and what she means. But what he feels on the other end of all that explaining is not understanding. It's pressure. It's the feeling that every single conversation has to go perfectly or something is going to fall apart. And a man who feels that kind of pressure around a woman does not lean in closer to her. He creates a little distance. Not to punish her, not even consciously. It just becomes harder to breathe inside something that feels that heavy. What smart women eventually learn is that you do not need to earn the right to your own feelings. You do not need to construct a perfect case for why you feel the way you feel before it's allowed to be valid. You can say what you feel in plain, simple words. You can say it once, you can let it land without immediately following it up with 3 more sentences of explanation. And that directness, that quiet confidence of saying the thing and trusting it was enough is genuinely one of the most attractive things a woman can do in a relationship. It signals something. It tells him she is secure in herself. It tells him she doesn't need his validation to know her feelings are real and worth expressing. And he feels that security in a way that goes beyond words. So the next time you catch yourself writing a paragraph when a sentence would do, or explaining the same thing a different way because you're not sure it landed the first time, stop. Say it simply, say it clearly, say it once, and trust that the right person does not need you to justify yourself to understand you. The second thing smart women do that works against them is they put everything on the table too fast. And this one genuinely looks like the opposite of a problem. It looks like honesty. It looks like being a real, genuine, open person who isn't hiding anything or playing games with who she is. And those are actually good instincts to have. But there is a real and important difference between being authentic with someone and being completely transparent with someone before they have done anything at all to earn that depth from you. Smart women tend to lead with everything. The first few conversations, and they are already deep into their history, their goals, their fears, their opinions on everything from relationships to politics to what they want their life to look like. Their whole personality is basically laid out like a map that he can read start to finish without having to explore anything. And they do this because they are genuinely interesting people with a lot going on inside them. And they want to know quickly whether this person is actually compatible with who they are. That makes complete sense as a strategy. But what ends up happening is that the man never gets to experience the process of slowly discovering who she is. And that process, that gradual unfolding of a person, is one of the most powerful drivers of emotional investment in a man. It's not just about attraction. It's about the feeling of earning something. When everything about a woman is immediately available, when he can see the whole picture after one conversation, there is genuinely nothing left to wonder about. And when there's nothing to wonder about, the pull he feels to keep coming back, to keep learning more, to keep showing up, to find out what else is there, it never fully develops. It fades before it had the chance to become anything real. Mystery is not about being fake or withholding your personality or pretending to be less than you are. It is simply about trusting that the right man will find out who you are over time, and understanding that the experience of him finding that out layer by layer is actually what makes him feel genuinely connected to you. When you hold something back, not as a game, but as a natural byproduct of being a full person who doesn't need to perform herself all at once, you create space for his curiosity to grow. And a man who is genuinely curious about a woman shows up with a completely different energy than a man who already feels like he has her completely figured out. So be open. Be exactly who you are. Don't hide yourself, but let it come out naturally over time. Let there be parts of you he hasn't discovered yet a month in. Let him still be finding out new things about you 3 months from now, because that sense of there is still more to her, that ongoing feeling that he hasn't seen everything yet, is what keeps a man emotionally present and genuinely invested in a way that nothing else can create. The third thing is something smart women do almost automatically because of the way their minds work. They try to fix the connection instead of just being inside it. And this runs really deep. Smart women are natural problem solvers. When something feels off, their brain immediately starts looking for what went wrong, what caused it, and what the right move is to address it. That is honestly how they operate in every area of life. And in most areas of life, that instinct is a genuine strength. But a relationship is not a problem that has a solution you can think your way to. And when a smart woman starts applying that energy to the man she's with, quietly analyzing what changed, planning the conversation that will fix it, adjusting how she's showing up to try to get a different result, she pulls herself completely out of the moment. And presence is genuinely everything when it comes to how attracted a man feels to a woman over time. Because think about what it actually feels like to spend real time with someone who is in their head the whole time. Someone who is monitoring how the interaction is going, keeping a quiet internal score of whether things are moving in the right direction, measuring the energy in the room against what she needs it to be. It doesn't feel warm. It doesn't feel light or fun or natural. It feels like being assessed. Like every moment is being evaluated against some invisible standard. And nobody feels relaxed and open and genuinely drawn to someone in that environment. The woman who really gets under a man's skin, the one he can't stop thinking about, is not the woman who has everything managed and measured. She is the woman who is just fully there, actually laughing at the moment, actually enjoying the conversation for what it is right now without quietly calculating where it needs to go. She is not observing the connection from a slight distance and trying to steer it. She is inside it. And that difference between being in your head about the connection and actually being inside the connection is something a man feels immediately, even if he could never put words to why one woman feels different from another. Smart women learn, sometimes slowly and sometimes the hard way, to get out of fix-it mode when they are with a man and just be there. To trust that not everything needs to be addressed or optimized or corrected. To let the feeling grow without trying to manage exactly how it grows. And when a woman does that, when she genuinely relaxes out of her head and into the moment, everything about her energy shifts. She becomes easier to be around, more fun, more present, more magnetic. And that shift is honestly what makes a man want to stay. The fourth thing smart women do, with the best intentions, but that quietly sends the wrong message, is they never ask for help. Not with practical things, not with emotional things, not with anything. They handle everything themselves. They carry whatever needs carrying. They figure out whatever needs figuring out. And they never give him the feeling that there is any real space for him to contribute something meaningful to her life. And on the surface, that reads as strength and independence and not being needy. But to a man, over time, it starts to feel like something else entirely. It starts to feel like he is optional. Like her life runs exactly the same whether he is in it or not. Like his presence does not actually add anything real to her world. And a man who feels that way, genuinely unnecessary, like he is just watching her life from the outside, does not feel a deep pull toward a woman. He feels more like a spectator than a partner. And here is the thing that matters about this. Letting a man do things for you is not weakness. It is not neediness. It is not playing helpless. It is actually one of the most quietly powerful things you can do when you are building something with someone. Not because you actually need him to step in, but because when he helps you, when he gets to contribute something real to your day or your life, he becomes more invested in you. That is genuinely just how people work. We care more about the things we put real effort into. So when you allow him to help, when you let him feel like his presence in your life actually makes things a little better for you, you are not showing him weakness. You are giving him a real reason to care about what happens to you. Smart women understand the difference between needing a man and letting a man feel like he matters to you. They are not collapsing into dependence, but they are also not building such a complete wall of self-sufficiency that he never gets to feel like he belongs there. They leave room. They receive what he offers without immediately proving they could have done it alone. And that willingness to receive, that genuine openness to letting him contribute is one of the most quietly attractive things a woman can bring to a relationship. The fifth thing smart women never do is compete with the man they are with. And this one is subtle because it almost never comes from ego. It comes from pure habit. Smart women are used to being the sharpest person in most rooms they walk into. They are used to having the better answer, making the stronger call, leading the direction things go. And when they are with a man, those habits show up in ways that feel completely normal and natural to her, but land very differently on him. Gently correcting him when he gets a small detail slightly wrong. Jumping in with a better solution before he has finished explaining his thinking. Steering a situation her way because she honestly can see the clearer path. Taking over in moments where he was actually handling things just fine. None of it comes from wanting to make him feel small. It comes from being sharp and capable and genuinely just being who she is. But what builds up over time is a dynamic where he starts to feel like he can never fully step into his own capable self around her. Like whatever he brings to the table, she will do it better. Like there is no real space for him to lead or solve or contribute in a way that actually feels meaningful. And that feeling of being quietly outpaced by the woman you are with consistently over time takes something real out of a man. Not because capable women scare men, but because nobody, man or woman, wants to feel like they are always the smaller one in their own relationship. There is a real difference between being impressive and being competitive. Being impressive means you bring your full self without needing him to be smaller so you can feel bigger. Being competitive means his capability somehow feels like a threat to yours. Smart women move through a relationship with enough genuine security in who they are that they can let him be good at things without it meaning anything about them. They do not shrink. They do not pretend to know less than they do, but they also do not need to win every single moment. And that ease, that security is what actually earns his deepest respect in the long run. The sixth thing, and this is the one that probably hits the hardest and goes the deepest, is that smart women never let a man see them struggle. They are always fine, always okay, always holding it together because they have spent so long being the strong one, the one who handles things, the one who doesn't fall apart, the one everyone else leans on, that showing any real crack has started to feel genuinely dangerous. Like if he sees her overwhelmed or scared or uncertain, even for a moment, she loses something she can never get back. Some part of the image she has worked so hard to build. So she keeps everything together on the surface, no matter what is happening underneath. She doesn't show him when a week has genuinely broken her down. She doesn't tell him she is scared about something. She doesn't let him see the parts of her that don't have it figured out. She pushes through it alone, the same way she always has, because that is what she knows how to do. And that habit feels like protection. It feels like keeping herself safe and keeping things light between them. But what it actually does is hold him at a distance that makes any truly deep connection impossible to reach. Because here is the thing about vulnerability and men that almost nobody says out loud. When a woman lets a man see that she is struggling, when she says honestly that this week has been hard, or that she is scared about something, or that she doesn't know what to do and she just needs someone to actually be there, it does not make him think less of her. It does not make him see her as weak or unstable or too much to deal with. It makes him feel closer to her than almost anything else could. It makes him feel genuinely trusted. It makes him feel like he is seeing the real person and not just the performance of a person. And that realness, that willingness to be seen without all the armor on, is what creates the kind of bond that actually holds up over time and through real things. Vulnerability with a man is not about falling apart in front of him. It is not about unloading everything on him or making him your emotional support system from day one. It is about choosing carefully and intentionally to let him see something true about you, to drop the armor just enough that he knows there is a real woman underneath all the capability. A woman who gets tired sometimes, who feels scared sometimes, who doesn't always have the answer, and sometimes just needs someone genuinely in her corner. And when a man gets to be that person for her, when he gets to actually show up in a moment that matters, in a way that makes a real difference, he does not feel burdened by it. He feels like he belongs there. He feels chosen in a way that goes deeper than attraction. He feels like she trusts him with something real. And that feeling of being the person she lets in when she could have kept the door closed is one of the most powerful experiences a man can have with a woman. So let him see you. Not all at once, not before he's earned it, but genuinely when the time is right. Because the version of you that doesn't have it all figured out, that gets overwhelmed, that sometimes needs someone, that version of you is not weaker than the polished one. She is more human. And human is always more magnetic than perfect. If you have stayed with this until now, you already know that none of what we talked about today is asking you to be less. Being smart and capable and independent, those are genuinely beautiful things about you. But beauty gets blocked when it comes wrapped in too much protection. And that is the honest truth about what holds so many smart women back in their relationships with men. It is not that they are too much. It is that they have learned to protect themselves so well that the people who could actually love them cannot find their way to the real version of them. The right man does not want a simpler, easier, smaller version of you. He wants the actual you. The woman who is confident but not closed off. Capable but not cold. Strong but still real enough, still soft enough to let someone genuinely matter to her. And every single thing we talked about today comes back to that. Letting someone matter. Letting him see you. Letting things unfold at their own pace without needing to control every step of how they go. Letting there be a little mystery he hasn't solved yet. Letting him feel like he actually adds something real to your life. Letting yourself be a real, struggling, figuring it out human being in front of someone who has earned that. None of this is a strategy. None of this is a game. It is about understanding that some of the walls that made complete sense to build at some point in your life might now be the exact things standing between you and the connection you actually want. And the moment you really see that, the moment it stops being an idea and starts being something you feel, everything begins to shift. You stop managing how he sees you and you just become someone worth seeing. You stop over-explaining and you start trusting that you are already enough exactly as you are. You stop trying to fix things from a distance and you start actually being inside the moments that matter. And when you make those shifts, not for him, not to get a certain reaction, but because you are finally ready to actually let someone in, you become the kind of woman a real man does not want to walk away from. Not because you performed it perfectly, but because you were finally, completely, actually there.